Hello everyone. This class is about nuclear reactions. So what are nuclear reactions? Nuclear reaction means transformation of the nucleus of one kind into the other by various methods which can happen of any kind. So such a nuclear transformation or transmutation, it is called as nuclear reaction. It may happen naturally as we have in radioactivity, where a heavy unstable nuclei starts emitting out particles in order to achieve the higher state of stability and getting transformed into the other kind of the nucleus. So that kind of nuclear transformation, it is also called as the nuclear reaction. In other way, nuclear reactions can also be carried out by initiating by artificial methods. So all these nuclear transformations are called as nuclear reactions. Here we will talk about two kinds of nuclear reactions. One is the nuclear fission and other one is about nuclear fusion. So first we will take on the nuclear fission. So what are nuclear fission reactions? So when heavy nuclei are bombarded with some fast moving particles, they just make this heavy nuclei unstable, right? And now this unstable nuclei gets transformed into the new kind of nuclei and with the release of a large amount of energy. So this phenomena of or nuclear fission is defined as the type of nuclear disintegration in which a heavy nucleus is split up into two nuclei of almost comparable sizes, right? Accompanied by a release of large amount of energy. So when this kind of nuclear reaction happens, we call it to be the nuclear fission, because in this case a heavy nuclei is undergoing the fission process, decay process, right? And this is done by hitting this heavy nuclei called as target nuclei with a fast moving particle. This fast moving particle may be a hydrogen atom, alpha particle, or any other particle like neutron, just like that, right? Here is one example of nuclear fission. So here it is U-235, uranium-235 atom, which is quite a heavy nuclei but stable. So whenever it is hit by a fast moving neutron, this is a neutron, whenever it is hit by a fast moving neutron, it makes this uranium-235 to be U-236, which is now unstable. Because it is now unstable, now it starts undergoing some fission process and gets transformed into the two nuclei of barium and krypton with the release of large amount of energy and three more neutrons, right? So this is how nuclear fission process happens. Here it is U-235, now it is converted into barium and krypton with the release of three more neutrons and a large amount of energy. So kind of process it is called as nuclear fission. Here this one neutron, it is taken as a bombarding particle, which is a fast moving particle, and it hits this U-235 nuclei, which is called as nucleus, which is called as target nucleus. So here this neutron, which is used to carry out nuclear reaction, it is called as, or nuclear fission process, it is called as projectile. Symbolically, we represent the nuclear fission process as this. There are two nuclei X, A1, Z1. Whenever it is hit by some projectile particle P, A2, Z2, then it gets transformed into two new nuclei having the comparable sizes Y and O with their mass numbers and atomic numbers, and with the release of large amount of energy, which is represented by Q here. So this is what nuclear fission process means in general. And during this and every kind of nuclear reaction, few laws are always obeyed or followed. They are not violated in any situation. So these four laws are: law of conservation of nucleon number. That means number of nucleons before and after the nuclear fission process, they remain same. Similarly, laws of conservation of charge number. Charge before the nuclear fission process and after the fission process, it will be same, conserved, right? And also the laws of conservation of mass and energy. The mass, total mass and total energy, it remains conserved as always. And fourth law, it is about the law of conservation of momentum. Total momentum before collision, or we can say nuclear fission, it will be equal to total momentum after the fission process, right? So these four laws are always obeyed in nuclear reactions and also in nuclear fission, as we are discussing here. So this is how nuclear fission process takes place here. We take here uranium-235 nucleus and hit it by a fast moving neutron. So neutron acts as a projectile particle, and this U-235, it acts as target heavy nucleus. So when it hits this, it becomes unstable. When it becomes unstable, it starts transforming into the two nuclei of comparable sizes, right? So the centers of the two nuclei just starts getting separated from each other, so it becomes more and more deformed, right? Now it is called as composite nucleus. It starts composite or compound nucleus. It becomes the composite or compound nucleus due to the striking by this fast moving neutron, and now it starts getting deformed and more deformed and getting split into two nuclei which are of comparable sizes, with further more neutrons, and with a large amount of energy. So this is how nuclear fission process happens. These three neutrons which are produced further are fast moving neutrons. So from these fast moving neutrons, we can sum up here that this reaction is a chain reaction. How is it a chain reaction? So it is the this red color is the 235 U-235 nucleus, and this black is nothing but the fast moving, black dot is nothing but the fast moving neutron. We are using it as a symbol. Whenever this U-235 is hit by this neutron, it just split into the small nuclei of comparable sizes, and with the release of three more neutrons, of course with a large amount of energy during every nuclear fission, or we can say reaction. These fast moving neutrons are further available to carry out the next nuclear reactions. So each this fast moving neutron will carry out their own nuclear reaction or nuclear fission process by hitting the further three U-235 nuclei. So these three will carry out three nuclear reactions, and in each and every reaction there will be the release of large amount of energy and the fast moving neutrons. So each one will give rise to three more neutrons. So therefore there will be total 9 number of neutrons. Now these 9 number of neutrons are again available for carrying out further nuclear fission process by hitting the next U-235 nuclei, and each of them will produce the next 3 neutrons. So these 9 neutrons will give rise to 27 new neutrons. So that means this is a very high energy giving reaction, and it is happening in the form of a chain. So that's why we call it to be the nuclear chain reaction, because one neutron is giving rise to the 3 more neutrons, 3 are giving rise to the 9 neutrons, and similarly these 9 neutrons are giving rise to the 27 more neutrons. So this way it is called as the nuclear chain reaction. So it becomes available to give rise to a very large amount of energy, which may be very dangerous otherwise. So this is the another way to look at it. This is the first generation in which neutron hits this U-235 and give rise to the krypton and barium with release of energy as well as 3 more neutrons, which further carry out the nuclear reaction and give rise to 9 number of neutrons, and so important part here is to control this chain reaction. Before that, let us discuss few things or conditions about the chain reaction to happen. So for the chain reaction to occur, the size of the fissionable material, means target nucleus, it must be larger than some critical size. It must be large size of this fissionable material. It should be more than some sufficient size called as a critical size. A released neutron must travel minimum through 10 centimeters so that it is properly slowed down. This is done because the neutron released, otherwise it is a very fast moving neutron because of very high amount of energy of the neutron, so it will not be available for the nuclear reaction, so it need to be slowed down. So at least 10 centimeter it should travel to get it slowed down properly to cause further fission, otherwise it will just escape with that large amount of energy. If the size of the material is less than the critical size, then all the neutrons are lost, because those neutrons will not find any uranium 235 nucleus to hit and carry out further nuclear reactions. If the size is equal to the critical size, then number of neutrons produced, it will be equal to number of neutrons lost. So that will give rise to a sustainable nuclear fission process. And if the size of the target nucleus is greater, or we can say specimen material is greater than the critical size, then the reproduction ratio of neutron is greater than 1 and chain reaction can occur. More and more amount of energy and neutrons will be produced. So these are the few conditions which are related with the critical size of the target substance. Okay. So how to control this chain reaction? Otherwise it will keep on giving large amount of energy, which will be very difficult to handle. So how do we control this chain reaction? We make use of some moderator. This moderator, what it does, these just slow down these fast moving neutrons to sufficiently low value. And also these fast moving neutrons, out of this, because each one will produce 3 further neutrons, so depending upon the need, we need to absorb these neutrons with the help of some absorber, either by cadmium rod or so. So these neutrons will be absorbed and only a limited number of neutrons will be made available to carry out further nuclear chain reaction. So in this way, the nuclear chain reaction can be controlled to the desired, we can say, level. So there is a very important term which is related with this nuclear chain reaction regarding its control, which is nuclear reproduction factor. It is represented by small k. So what is it? The nuclear reproduction factor, it is given by the ratio of the rate of production of neutrons to the ratio of loss of the neutrons. So if the rate of production of neutrons is more than the rate of loss of neutrons, then the reproduction factor will be more than 1. And hence that means the neutrons produced will be more than the neutrons lost. So therefore more number of neutrons will be available for carrying out the further nuclear reactions, right? So nuclear reaction is continued till the value of k is more than 1, and when the rate of production of neutrons is equal to rate of loss of neutrons, then in that case value of k becomes equal to 1 and nuclear reaction just stops. So here it is, the one major application of this nuclear chain reaction. It is the nuclear reactor. It is a power plant where the electricity can be produced. It is called as nuclear power plant or nuclear reactor. So what is the construction or just simple representation of this nuclear reactor or nuclear power plant? There is a chamber made of thick concrete walls in which some fissionable material is placed, just as uranium fuel elements are indicated here in copper color, just to indicate. And in this chamber, in order to control the chain reaction produced, we have introduced the cadmium rods. These cadmium rods just absorb the excess number of neutrons. These are used to control the chain reaction up to the desired, according to the desired level. Okay, so this chamber in which uranium-235 or nucleus substance which will be used to carry out the nuclear reactions is placed, this is called as reactor core. So when nuclear reactions are triggered by using the fast moving neutrons, whenever these cadmium rods are pulled out, the more number of neutrons are available for carrying out the nuclear reaction. In that case, more and more number of nuclear fission processes will happen and more amount of energy will be released. The energy which is released, it is passed through these tubes. These tubes are filled with molten sodium or liquid water under very high pressure, which carries the energy to the steam, energy which is liberated in this nuclear fission process in the reactor core, and this carries the energy released to the steam generator. This is the steam generator. Here it is water. So when this energy is passing through this water, it just heats up this water and a large amount of steam is formed. Right. So after passing through this liquids molten sodium is cooled down, which again passed to the reactor core, which further heats up due to the nuclear energy, and again it carries this energy to the steam chamber, or we can say heat exchanger. So this large amount of heat produced, it will be allowed to move towards the turbine or electric generator, which rotates this turbine or electric generator. Whatever steam is left, which is cooled comparatively cooled down, it is allowed to condense and gets transformed into the water again by using this chamber where cold water is allowed to flow. So this steam gets condensed, again it is moved to come to the heat exchange chamber or heat chamber, and this process continues. So this is how a nuclear reactor works. Here the function of cadmium rods is to control the amount of energy we require by inserting the rods more and more if we want the nuclear chain reaction to be slowed down, or we can say these cadmium rods can be completely pulled or pushed into the, we can say, a uranium fuel element if we want the nuclear reaction to be stopped. So all the these cadmium rods will absorb all the fast moving neutrons, and hence no more nuclear reaction will or nuclear fission process of uranium at nuclei will happen. So that is it. Also the for the each and every nuclear fission process, the number of neutrons will be released are quite fast moving, so they will be slowed down with the help of the moderator, which is hard water here, which is used hard water here, right? So this is how nuclear reactor works and the various terms which are associated with it. Another kind of nuclear reaction is nuclear fusion. So what nuclear fusion is? Nuclear fusion is the process in which the two small unstable nuclei, they come close together and merge into another to form a heavy nucleus, which is of comparatively more stable state with the release of very large amount of energy. This nuclear fusion process, it is the source of energy in the sun, which follows a proton-proton cycle. So let me just call it once again. So what is a nuclear fusion? In this kind of nuclear reaction or process, the two small nuclei, lighter nuclei, come close together to form a bigger, or we can say heavy nucleus, stable nucleus, with the release of very large amount of energy. Which is this nuclear fusion process? It is the main process which is happening and is the source of energy at the sun. So how does it happen in the sun? It follows a proton-proton cycle. At the very central core of the sun, there is a large amount of energy which is produced by nuclear fusion process. So it follows a proton-proton cycle. Two protons, which are called as the light nuclei, they fuse together or merge together in order to form a heavy nuclei hydrogen atom, right? This is the deuterium. Plus with the release of one electron and with the release of this much amount of energy, 0.4 mega electron volt. Now this deuterium will merge with another hydrogen atom to give rise to tritium, and with the release of energy equal to 5.5 mega electron volt, which is very large amount of energy. And now two tritium molecules, or we can say nuclei will merge together in order to form a heavy stable alpha particle. and with the release of 2 more hydrogen atoms. And in this process, the total amount of energy is released is 12.9 mega electron volt. So this cycle is again and again followed, and in each process of the cycle there is a large amount of energy is released. So every proton-proton cycle give rise to the energy which is given by sum of all these energies. So if you sum up, you will get the energy which is released in every proton-proton cycle, which is very large, even very large in comparison to the nuclear fission process. If you make calculations of the energy released according to the mass numbers, then you will see that the energy released in nuclear fusion process is much larger than the energy released in nuclear fission process. So is the cause of the energy of the stars. Nuclear fusion process, it also causes the energy of the stars. So it follows the carbon-nitrogen cycle just as indicated here. So whenever C12, carbon 12, it is hit by some hydrogen atom, it gets transformed into the nitrogen 13 and with the release of energy. Right? Every transformation of nuclear fusion during in the process of nuclear fusion will give rise to a large amount of energy. Now this N13 nucleus is unstable, so therefore it will get transformed into C13, carbon 13, which is the isotope of carbon, with the release of one positron. Now this carbon 13 is again hit by some hydrogen atom, so it will be getting transformed into the nitrogen 14 and with the release of large amount of energy. Now this nitrogen 14, it is again hit by the another hydrogen atom, so it will give rise to the another isotope of oxygen, which is 15, O15, and with the release of large amount of energy. And now this oxygen 15, it is unstable, so therefore it gets transformed into the nitrogen 15, isotope of nitrogen and with the release of positron along with. Now this nitrogen 15, it is again hit by fourth hydrogen atom and gets transformed into the C12, carbon 12 atom again, or we can say nucleus again, with the release of alpha particle plus with the release of large amount of energy. So this carbon-nitrogen cycle is followed again and again in the stars, which give rise to a very large amount of energy in the stars. So it depends upon the wise or wisdom of the people who make use of this energy, either in a positive way or in the negative way. So this is about nuclear reactions and this chapter on the atoms and nuclei. That's all. Thank you.